Hello, my name is Rob Perrone, and Gabriel Snell and I did our analysis on a movie called We Were Soldiers. We're calling our presentation Leading in an Impossible Situation. The movie We Were Soldiers is based upon a real event in the Vietnam War, specifically the Battle of EADU, and focuses on a lieutenant colonel called Hal Moore. He's the battalion leader of a new young group of troops and platoon leaders who are going into Vietnam for the first time and facing troops of an unknown magnitude. They face an impossible situation, about 400 of them against 4,000 North Vietnamese soldiers. In the movie, they explain that the 4,000 North Vietnamese soldiers is actually an unknown number. So these 400 really going up against an unknown number of troops in a unfamiliar country. The battle itself took over 2 days, and Americans were surrounded and cut off from resources and reinforcements during that time. They used a tactic where they were bringing in helicopters to deliver troops and ammunition, and at times that was cut off. They explained in the movie that they were unable to land and take off. Over the 2 days, though, Lieutenant Colonel Hal Moore was able to lead his battalion to victory, and as he promises in his initial speech, he does not leave one man behind, living or dead. We'll see that in a few minutes.
Look around you. In the 7th Cavalry, we got a captain from the Ukraine, another from Puerto Rico. We've got Japanese, Chinese, blacks, Hispanics, Cherokee Indians, Jews and Gentiles, all Americans. Now here in the States, some men in this unit may experience discrimination because of race or creed. But for you and me now, all that is gone. We're moving into the valley of the shadow of death, where you will watch the back of the man next to you as he will watch yours. And you won't care what color he is or by what name he calls God. They say we're leaving home. We're going to what home was always supposed to be. So let us understand the situation. We are going into battle against a tough and determined enemy. I can't promise you that I will bring you all home alive. But this I swear, before you and before Almighty God, that when we go into battle, I will be the first to set foot on the field, and I'll be the last to step off. And I will leave no one behind. Dead or alive, we will all come home together.
So from that speech, which is very powerful, a few things that we pulled out from there around his leadership styles. You see on the screen, he sets everyone as equals with a common purpose. No matter what was going on at the time in the United States, everyone is equal, and everyone will watch the back of his brother. He commits to the troops and asks them to commit to him. He tells them, obviously, that he will not leave one person behind. He will be taking everybody home, living or dead, and asks them to commit to him to be able to go do their duty and perform accordingly. I think one of the biggest things that was pulled out from this is that he doesn't sugarcoat the situation, and he provides a true picture of the situation. He's clear, open, and honest. He tells them that they're going into the belly of the beast against a very powerful enemy that's determined, and uses that as a way to say we have a job to do. He's the first on the field and last to step off. He talks about that and is one of the more powerful pieces of the movie. It indicates that he will be fighting with them. side by side, together for this common goal. So where does he get his energy and his integrity from? Because it is an impossible situation. It's something that he knows he's not taking everybody home alive for sure. Where does he get the energy and his integrity from? Well, Lieutenant Colonel Hal Moore also had experience in the Korean War, so he has past war experience. Those around him, there's a sergeant major who is also quite experienced, who's been in a number of battles, and a lot of the consulting he does is with this sergeant major, and a lot of what the advice he gives him, he listens to. So he takes the advice of others and uses that as a way to draw energy and make decisions. I think from the impossible situation that's there, he uses that bond to create a brotherhood of his troops. He knows that they're all going to be in the same terrible situation, but together they can prevail. He's also a very big family man. You'll see, if you do watch the movie early on, he's surrounded by his family in a car ride to the base. He's constantly spending time with his family outside of the work that he has to do to prepare for the battle. At one point also, there's a scene where he is saying prayers with his children before bed. So I think the other piece for him is that he finds his energy and his integrity from a higher power, very spiritual. And last but not least, as an Army individual and someone who is obviously in the military, he does have a sense of duty. He knows that there is a task to do. He knows there's a job that has to get done. It might be impossible, and it might be in a situation that's terrible, but his group is the right group to do it. So he has a sense of duty as well. I think for Colonel Hal Moore, though, he also understands that he's not perfect, and if he had a chance to redo it, a few things he might consider, and those are listed on the screen. He's in the battle. He's actually on the front lines, making calls, deciding on what needs to happen while bullets are flying past him. And there's some unnecessary risks that might have taken place. He was in those trenches, and he wasn't pulling himself away from the battle because he wanted to be right there with his troops. And oftentimes, a leader needs to step back and have more of a holistic view, and also enable his troops to be able to make the calls. Some of that was not done, but again, with all the stress going on, he think he made the best call possible at the time. It could have cost him his life if he would have gotten hit, and if you remember earlier, I mentioned the sergeant major who he respected quite a bit. The sergeant major said to him, "Sir, if you go down, we all go down," and that was an indication of how important the colonel was to the success of the battle. And but he was right there in the mix of it all, and that would have been very difficult for them to win should he have gotten killed. And of course, from an overall perspective, a good leader knows how to delegate tasks and empower those around him to build trust. I think the groups trusted him, but again, because he was so much in the battle, it might have been tough for him to do that on the fly. The next couple of clips we're going to show are clips around how other leaders emerged during the movie. The first is about a battalion, not the battalion leader, I'm sorry, the platoon leader who recognizes one of his troops is lagging behind during the exercises to prepare for going over to Vietnam.
Everybody,
so
take
we'll
your boots off.
Quickly and come back.
Everybody, socks too. I want you to draw fresh socks from supply. Keep your feet dusted with powder. Everybody check each other's feet like Godbolt and me. Now that young man's a leader. Yes, sir.
So I think this particular clip is interesting because of his way of getting curious about why one of his soldiers was underperforming, really understanding that there might have been a bigger problem. And in doing so, he realized that he needed to set the stage that all of the troops needed to watch out for each other. And in something so simple as keeping your feet clean would jeopardize their ability to do the mission. And now he set the tone where everyone needs to help each other out and care for the well-being of their teammates. So interesting clip. Our next clip is actually around
Ladies,
the wives of the soldiers
I'm
back
just
in
really,
the United
really glad
States
you're here
who
today.
were able to, in
I
this
know it's really
situation,
new to the Army,
this very difficult
and all of us are
situation,
new to
find
this
each other.
post, so I
And
thought
in
we
this
could
clip,
pull our
you'll see
resources
various leaders
and cover
emerge
whatever
within the
questions we
support
might
group.
have. So why don't we start with item number 1, food. If the commissary is out of something, where's the best place to shop? Well, I tried Big Star, and it's okay. But I keep thinking my water's gonna break right in the checkout aisle. That takes care of food shopping. So item number 2, laundry.
Oh, well, the base washing machines don't work. They're full of sand from the swamp missions.
All right, I'll take care of that.
I've already complained.
Well, we'll just go to the general.
In the meantime, the laundromat in town's okay, but they won't let you wash your colored things in their machines.
In a public laundromat?
Didn't make any sense to me either, but I'm telling you, they have a big sign right in the window says whites only. What?
Honey, they mean white people only.
That's awful. Your husband is wearing the uniform of a country that allows a place to say that his laundry's not good enough when he could die for... I'm sorry,
That's all right, honey. But I know what my husband's fighting for, and that's why I can smile. My husband will never ask for respect. And he'll give respect to no man who hasn't earned it. The rest of his family is the same way. And anybody who doesn't respect that can keep his goddamn washing machine, because my baby's clothes are going to be clean anyway.
So as you can see from this movie, leaders emerge on all fronts. And we'd like to summarize the presentation with a few quotes. You'll see one of the quotes by Colonel Moore and the other by Sun Tzu and the book The Art of War. So we want to thank you for your time. We look forward to having some discussions about this movie and our presentation on ELC. On behalf of Gabriel Snell, I'm Rob Perrone. Thanks so much for your time.